Welcome to Aquarian Anarchy, everybody. This is a special edition of the show. We are recording this a little early because, as we are speaking right now, this is a recording. But what's going on live right now is I am, at least hopefully, on an airplane getting ready to land in Las Vegas for Hotep Nation weekend. Shout out to the Hotep fan. Can't wait. This is going to be an amazing weekend, and I can't wait to tell all you guys about it. And hopefully, we're going to do a few little interviews while I'm there as well. So we will see. We'll keep you posted on that. But we welcome you all to this special edition of Aquarian Anarchy. I'm Chad. You see Marcus there. We are waiting for Nico to join us, but I've got to go back to coaching at this basketball clinic in a minute. So we had to get it fired off real quick. Marcus, I know you have an agenda today, so I'm going to let you kind of take over from here and just kind of start bringing us into what we want to talk about, because I think the people, myself included, I think yourself included, find this as a time that is very easy to get down and to let some of the fear and some of the despair start to set in. But we've been on a journey for quite a while now that's trying to point us in a different direction. So I'll let you take it from there.
Yeah, I was excuse me. I was inspired this morning by one of our Patreons who was talking about the kind of the down that we are going into, and I had basically a response to that, and that response is it was, we're moving towards a greater understanding, I think, in our lives, Chad, myself, and Nico, and a lot of people around us, that involves the hero's journey. I've been aware of that the hero's journey and Joseph Campbell and his ideas for probably going on 15, 20 years. But I reintroduced that to Chad, said, hey, man, something he said reminded me of it. And I was like, oh, you should check this out. And so what it's done for me is it reinvigorated that idea in myself. I needed those kinds of ideas when I was practicing an unusual religion and I had Christians attacking me for it. And I needed to tell myself, hey, we're all on this series, so I didn't get pissed off and start attacking.
Right.
I needed to,
because that's the temptation, right? The temptation
Right.
is to defend ourselves, and that's where a lot of that stuff comes from too. Is I think people get because religion and faith and everything has been so like partisanized. So if that's a word,
Sure,
I just made it up.
it is now.
It's gotten to the point where people like are viscerally, they feel attacked if you even don't believe what they believe. Not if you're attacking what they believe or if you're calling it into question, but just for being you and believing what you believe is seen as like an affront, an attack by some people. And I've been guilty of that. Like I have
Same.
proselytized and done all this sort of stuff. And so it's a very common temptation, but it's also something that I think is the work of the devil. That is the sort of thing that keeps us divided. Instead of fighting him, we end up fighting each other and doing his work while he just sits back and eats popcorn.
Absolutely. And the devil manifests, and for those that are, not Christian, don't believe in the devil. Neither do I. I don't actually believe in the devil. I don't. That's not part of my belief system.
Well, I mean,
But the opposition.
Yes,
yeah.
Opposition forces.
Right. Yeah. Just for those people, and so for me, it comes back to a Mises quote where he says, you don't find freedom by adopting authoritarian methods, and that's a paraphrase. And it's the same deal with all of this stuff. So at the end of the day, I wanted to point out that, again, that we are on the hero's journey. And, Chad and I, before we came on, we're talking about where we might be in that hero's journey. And I had mentioned we might be in Helm's Deep when looking at the Lord of the Rings trilogy, because that's on the hero's journey. It's a similar pattern. And Chad said, well, hell, we may not even be there. We might be in the bar, kind of getting the forces together. And I see that too. Either way, it doesn't matter. Victories are on their way. That's right. Victories are on their way. In magical theory and magical thought, there is a a pattern or a formula. It's called the IAO formula. It's formulated after a Gnostic deity called EIO or IAO. And it's a pattern. It's Isis, Apophis, Osiris. That's the gods that are associated with it, if you will. And it is the beginning, the middle, and the end. It is, you have this thing that things are all right at the beginning, and then things go to shit, and they go to shit bad. And then things get better, and they are even better than the ISIS section. You have improved because you went through the apophic section. We are in the apophic section. No matter where, how you look at it, no matter how things go, even statists would admit, we are in the apophic section. This is the challenge. This is the problem. We have to focus. We have to look forward. We have to have hope. The good guys win at the end of the day, and we see this. To shift this back to the Hotep weekend, I wish I could be there. If any of y'all Hoteps are watching this and are like, where's Marcus? Marcus is buying a house. Marcus has no damn money, and Marcus can't go nowhere right now. And I wish I could be there, and I'm going to try very hard the next time that there is one there to go. And the reason is because as we assemble the Avengers, the Hoteps are probably, for us, the most important. They're the main fighter, they're the main magician, they're whatever, because y'all get it, and you get it to a fundamental level. So I want to thank you for joining our coalition, for joining the Fellowship of the Ring. We are gonna get this motherfucker destroyed, and at the end of the day, it will be because of people like the Hoteps. It will be because of our mutualist friends that have joined us. It will be that we have reached an anarcho-communist somewhere who says, you know what, these guys are all right, and I'm going to stop fucking with ANCOMs. I'm going to stop fucking with mutualists. I'm going to stop fucking with whoever I fuck with, and I'm going to focus on the state. And when we do that, and we are doing that on a daily basis. I see it. I've seen this movement grow. I saw this problem a long time ago, and I said, I'm going to try to unify with anarchists. And it has grown. And so what I'm saying is have hope. These Hoteps are joining us. We have anarchists joining us. And I'm hoping that we can feed that tree of liberty that Jefferson talked about without bloodshed. Now, the state may make that impossible. We may have to have a bloody revolution, and that will suck. That will suck. That is not what I want to do. That is not where I want to go. And make sure that everybody understands. I'm talking about defense. I will never act offensively. But at the end of the day, we win. This leads to unifying the world.
Yeah, we a lot of times look, we have had an epic guest list, and I love and appreciate that, and I'm blown away by it, honestly, because it's just there are people who we have interviewed, who we have spent hours talking to, who I never thought I would even get the chance that, they would pay me the time of day.
Right.
And then you find out that these people are like just as good-hearted, just as loving and caring, and they actually, in some cases, they've been like watching us. They know what we're doing. They see what we're doing, and they like what we're doing, and that blows me away even more. But I want to say this: as much as I enjoyed that part of it, and as much as I appreciate all those guests, one of the things that I think we need to do more, that I think we've been missing a little bit, because it's like every week it's another guest, and it's preparing for that guest, looking into who they are, what they do, why it's important, and what we can ask them about what they're doing to try to help build solutions, is that we don't talk to each other enough.
True.
And I just want to tell you that, like, just me to you, I don't know where I would be right now if I hadn't met you. And I don't know what it was that aligned everything to make it to where that fateful day in, like, I don't know, February, March, April 2018, whenever it was, that I showed up on that one. And it's crazy because, like, that was one of the very few actual, like, video calls that we did with Adam's campaign that I was on. And so The first thing I asked you was, how do you pronounce your last name?
Right.
Because I just saw it on there on like Facebook and shit like that. But anyway, I just wanted to say, like, everybody, don't take for granted these connections that you're making right now in
Sure.
this time, and let don't let opportunities to connect with people go by the wayside. Don't be afraid to reach out to someone who you think you're not worthy of reaching out to,
Yeah.
because let me tell you, like, if you first of all, if you think that you can do this alone, you're wrong. We need each other, and I mean that in like a voluntary cooperation sort of standpoint, or connotation, not in a, I have to steal from you, fucking sacrifice you for my own good kind of bullshit.
For sure.
We need each
Voluntary
other.
cooperation.
We've got to work together, and we've got to connect with each other, because um, there are some amazing things. I'm in a Telegram group with one of the guys who's from Hotep Nation. He's got his own little thing, and I dip in there every now and then. It's hard to keep up with a lot of these different. I'm in so many different groups that I try to stay connected with all these people, because we're reaching each other and we're making impacts on each other. And sometimes somebody just needs to pick me up. And um, one of the guys was talking about how 2020 was actually okay, but 2021 has been so much worse by comparison. And I said, in a certain sense, I agree, but then in another sense, I think like 2020 and 2021 have been amazing.
Yeah.
Like, as much fucked up shit as is going on, it still all comes back to what you make of it, and back to what we talked about with Vin a week ago. Um, he's been calling this the dim age for a long time, instead of like the dark age, or
Mm-hmm.
the middle ages, or any of that kind of stuff, like the dim age. But then he like, on the flip side of that, he says it's the new age of magic.
Mm-hmm.
So in a way, like, you have to look at this from the standpoint of, there's always this yin and yang that's going on
Yeah.
in our society, whether it's um, the comfort and the luxury that we have had that has caused complacency, laziness, and letting people just trample all over you, and you don't even care about it because
Mm-hmm.
there's a new iPhone or whatever the case may be. Um, it doesn't matter. Yes, terms and conditions. Agree. And next thing you know, you're the human Sentai pad.
Right.
And it's disgusting. But we have to recognize that even in something that is the dawn of like a new disgusting oppression, or maybe it's not even dawn anymore. We're like fucking midday into this bitch right now. We have the opportunity to build coalitions in the underground beneath
Mm-hmm.
that. And that's why, like, where I am right now, where I'm headed with Hotep Nation weekend and Solutionary Summit Labor Day weekend, that's why I said it's kind of like the Fellowship of the Ring coming together. And we're all like looking at the ring like, what are we going to do about this bitch? How are we going to destroy it? And, somebody's going to try to hit it with their axe. And, we all have to kind of figure out, like, all right, how are we going to attack this beast and destroy it once and for all? And I don't know that we necessarily ever fully destroy it completely until we're probably going to be dead by the time that happens. But what we can do is we can at least fucking chop off Sauron's fingers and
Cut that bitch
have him
away.
have him go back into isolation for a while. But I also have hope that there's always that potential for that black swan event where
Mm-hmm.
we actually do it. Like, I'm
And
looking
maybe
at
they
shit all
cause
over
it.
the world. Yes, they are. They're in the process of causing it, possibly right now, because look at what's happening all over the world. And don't be afraid when it's time for us to do the same thing, for us
Mm-hmm.
to go out and to whether it's sit-ins or whatever we have to do to show these people this is not acceptable anymore. Like,
Right.
this has never been acceptable, but you are not going to push us around, and you're not going to shut the, like I was reading something New Orleans was saying basically they're ready to shut your business down. They will come shut your business down swiftly and immediately if you are not checking for vaccine passports and negative tests in their little
Make them do it.
Gestapo nonsense. Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like at some point, civil disobedience has to become a thing again
Yep.
because we are in the midst of one of the greatest crackdowns. I'll say this: as you follow, from slavery through like the slave codes and then Jim Crow and all the way through into the civil rights era, you have like an emergence of freedom that came from like people were stupid and people were misguided and evil, and they figured out over time that they were fucking people over, and they started to stop fucking people over in a lot of cases because people stood up to them and said no more.
Right.
Some of it was a little bit of an okey doke where they just kind of like switched up the slavery a little bit and just kind of like found different ways to do it.
Yeah, but people
what
are
we're seeing right now,
people
what
are
we're seeing right
lazy
now is
though. They
people
would rather
reversing.
not do that.
Right. But what we're seeing right now is we've gone from like this era of increasing freedom over time to like they're ready to like lock you in your house. There are people online who are like, yes, make these people, if they don't want to get the shot, make them stay in their house forever.
Yeah.
Make
just don't.
them comply until and until they comply, lock them in their houses and don't let them do anything. And if they die, they die. And if they lose their job and starve to death, so be it. Maybe that'll teach them. That's what people are saying.
Right.
And as much as anything, we have to break the mentality that people have and help people to fight back against that mentality. Anyway, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No. I was just going to add to that. One of the things that occurred to me while you were talking is that we may not even be in the Lord of the Rings. We might be in the Hobbit. What if what we're facing is three ogres? I'm wearing my ogre shit shirt that Nico inspired today. And what if all we're waiting for is for Gandalf to break the fucking the light, and suddenly, bam, they're done. They're stoned.
They're stoned.
Yeah, right. So at the end of the day, what we need is to not comply. I made a post yesterday that said, that they, if these people think that I'm not willing to die for my wife and children, they have miscalculated. And I will not comply. This is the hill that I will die on. And to your point about preparedness, right now, because I think you're right. I think that we have come together more in the last couple years on a big scale. That matters. But on a small scale, it matters. If you were talking to me 2 years ago, just 2 years ago, I believed in firearms. I believed in all of that stuff, but I didn't own one. I didn't have one. I now have firearms. Right now, my wife is right now, as we speak, out getting more fucking canning jars. No, more canning jars because we can so much. Yeah. That we've ran out of all of our canning supplies, and those canning supplies literally we started pulling tomatoes and canning the week that we used our last can of tomatoes from the last year. So we already had enough to now. We don't eat that canned food exclusively, but we had enough to make it a year. And so we are so much better prepared this year than we ever have been. So even on a small scale, we are coming together. And what it takes, to your final point, what it takes is to say no. At the end of the day, yes, it's going to suck when the government decides, because I think it's coming. I think they are going to decide to bifurcate our society, and they're going to try to make us homeless and powerless. That's what they're going to try to do. And I've said this last week with Carrie Wedler, I'm going to say it again. And that is that they have miscalculated. They have made a
Yes.
mistake because we are not them. We are not sheep. What you're talking about, Chad, we're going to go, okay, we can't do this. What can we do? How can we get around
They've
this?
separated us. They've separated us into the weak versus the strong, and they don't even realize it.
Right.
Because the people who are standing up to this and who don't give in, because there are some people. Look, I don't want to get into the whole thing that's gonna, I want to be careful with what I say. But so there's someone I know who is going into college, and a lot of her friends have been very resistant, have talked the talk, and then when it came time to walk the walk, it was like, oh, they said I wasn't going to be able to go to football games. They said, they gave me $100, or they said they would do this, or they said they would do that, and what's happening is the people with the strongest backbones, the people with the strongest spines, and the people who have the most intelligence and the most willingness and ability to find whatever way it is possible to work through and around this stuff and navigate this minefield. That's the people who they're separating into this other category. And I posted this little video. It's like all these Asian babies, and they're like finding. I don't know if you saw it yesterday, but I was like, man, and y'all are like worried what's going to happen to you if you lose your job. There's these little babies. They're like finding out ways how they can like this one kid like sticks a piece of cardboard and like slides it under a bowl and pulls it so he can get it to the edge of the counter so he can get it.
Yeah.
So the kid's like bouncing a piece of food towards himself, beating on the table, and it keeps bouncing, and then it eventually comes to him, and then he grabs it. It's like, these are kids like under the age of 3 figuring out how to overcome adversity, and you can't figure out how to get off the fucking couch. Come the fuck on.
Right.
And so I have a great deal of hope, because I think you're onto something. It's and I don't want to disparage anyone, because I know that they have intentionally put people in some pretty fucking damn near impossible choices, where they have like Jonesy and I have talked about, like Vin talked about, they have weaponized virtue, the virtue of wanting to protect and provide for your family. Look, one of the things like what I was talking about, this life of like relative luxury. I mean, go back and look 500 years ago. All of us, even the poorest among us, lives better than kings used to live. Running water, flush toilets, air conditioning, not having insects all over you and all this kind of stuff. We've had it pretty good, okay? Now, with that life of luxury has come this certain keeping up with the Joneses. You live in a certain kind of neighborhood and you have certain things, and you don't want to give that stuff up. Like, I have to admit, like, it's something that pops into my mind. I'm like, man, all right, I got to figure out how I'm going to get rid of this house. Am I just going to abandon this house and just run off and like be like, fuck it, I don't care about credit anymore. Credit doesn't even matter at this point, because they're going to ruin all that shit anyway. How do I liquidate all my shit and have it all in like hard metals and ammo and weapons so that I can go off somewhere? And then how do I protect all that shit? Like you start wargaming all this stuff. And I understand that people, when they're faced with that decision, it's really hard to say, I said no. No means no. And I guess you're just going to have to take everything from me, because I'm not letting you put that shit in my body. And so some people have made that decision, and I get it. I'm not trying to disparage you, but by and large, there are a lot of people who have taken that shot in the arm just because they got offered Krispy Kreme donuts, or because they got offered $100 or a lottery ticket, or whatever the case may be, or they get to go to a concert now or a football game that they wanted to go to. That is where the weak-minded are being pushed into that category and radicalized in that direction, and the strong-minded have found another way. And even those people who have been forced into that impossible situation, that rock and a hard place decision where it's, do I provide for my family? Do I take all my kids out of school? Do I make my wife give up everything? You know, those kinds of things where it's like, I have this decision that I've made. I'm fortunate because my wife and all of my kids, the only thing we don't have is my mother-in-law who lives with us. That would be a challenge. But the other 5 of us, we're all gang with, if it comes to it, we'll fucking live in the woods in a fucking van.
Right.
If we have to, and we'll grow our own food or whatever the fuck we have to do. But there are a lot of people who've been forced into that decision. They went ahead and did what's best for their family at the expense of their own body. And I understand that, but those people are not our enemies either. Those people are victims of this thing, and I don't think,
and they're waking up.
Weak-minded category, right? And they're awake, and they're like, my little brother is one of them. Like he had to get that shit, or he thought he did, and then he went, he found out. Oh, by the way, they told us that we have to get a booster in 8 months, and he's not flying back for that shit. And so it's just like, what, and I was like, yeah, bro, like, get ready. There's 7,000 behind that. You're going to have, a booster every 3 weeks coming up before too long.
Because it's money.
It's best to not start that process in the first place. But
hey, Chad, real quick, I want to,
yeah,
go ahead and finish your point. I want to dive into the more boosters in just a minute.
So just finishing that point, this bifurcation that they are forcing is like the orcs and goblins versus the strongest people, the most equipped and well-armed people, and the people who are the best equipped in every facet of like figuring out how to work together against this. And I know there's probably lists being made. This shit is probably fucking going into some algorithm right now that they're deciphering what the fuck, and it's just going, it's part of like a big overall calculation and everything. But I really think, I think it's a miscalculation. I don't underestimate the enemy. Don't get me wrong. They know what the fuck they're doing. They're not completely stupid, but
they're incompetent.
I think we have some time and some ability to like really push back hard. And this is one of those, if in poker terms, this is one of those, we checked and we probably shouldn't have checked. We probably should have bet, but they tried to come in with a big raise or a big bet. It's time to re-raise and go all in and fucking push them, call their bluff and push everything in the pot, because this doesn't win. We don't win this with half measures at this point, because they are going all the way too right now.
For sure. And you're absolutely right about that. And just to kind of put it into perspective, all bullshit aside, there is going to be with the jabby jabs, there is going to get what I wanted to kind of get back to in your statements. This was part of the plan. There is a profit motive. One of the reasons that they are pushing so hard is they have a commitment with these drug companies to buy X amount of shots, and they're going to do whatever they can do to get rid of those. But there's another side of that as well. If you think back to Jurassic Park, how they controlled the dinosaurs is they had them addicted to a substance, and if they went too long without that substance, they died. Well, they're giving you that substance. Don't take the first shot. The reason that a drug dealer gives you the reason that a drug dealer gives you that first hit of meth for free is because they know that 6 months from now, you're going to be coming every week and buying $20, $30 worth at least every single week. That's why they do it for free. That's why they do it, because they want to get you addicted. And it has already been proven that these things definitely weaken your immune system. So imagine what happens when you've taken 10 of them. And so they want your immunity to be addicted to them. But I want to get back to hope. There are a lot of us.
I didn't think about that. No, but I don't want that to just drive by on people.
Okay.
Yes, definitely we need to get back to hope. But what you just said is really profound. I I don't know why I didn't think of it like that before, but shit, I think you're absolutely right. This is some dope fiend tactics of like the high. It's like, the high is up here, and then you crash. So then you need more, and then it doesn't get you as high, and you crash sooner. Like all these things. So like from
Eventually
an
you've got
immune
it coming in
standpoint,
your veins.
yeah, you get to the point where you're so dependent on it that you can't go 2 weeks without it. Otherwise, you end up being susceptible to something. I'm not saying that's what it is. I'm just saying it's something interesting to think about.
For sure.
That's for the algorithm, so that we don't get
sure.
canceled. But yeah, it's fuck, man. But yeah, all right. So hope now.
So back to hope. We are saying no. There are lots of people saying no, and they say it in different ways.
Shout out to Australia.
For sure. And there are people that have gotten the jab. They're now saying no. They're saying, okay, I'm done. This bullshit that I still have to wear a mask and all this other dumb shit, no, that's not going to happen. And so that resistance is rising. And, for me, I'm hopeful. I had an interesting youth. I have skills that I do not use anymore. And I bet if I brush them right off, if I brush them right off, I'm going to be really good at it. I would be a very, very good pirate. And God damn it, I don't want to be a pirate. I don't want you to fucking make me become a criminal again. But you know what? I know how to do that. I remember I could feed my entire family because I was poor as shit. And people may judge me for this, but I was fucking 18. I had a baby, and I had to take care of my family. Yeah, I moved into the Save-A-Lot and fed my entire family for 50 cents. Now, how do you do that? Well, you're really good at stealing shit. You're really good at walking into a store and being able to put a entire building of a sandwich into your fucking coat in the wintertime. Literally, my friends and I went into the Save-A-Lot, and back then they had cigarettes, and they had them up.
Stealing's not okay, people. We still don't think stealing's okay, but
for sure,
desperate times, desperate measures.
For sure. But my friends and I had 4 friends that were visiting. We got, and this is a fact, we got 6 cartons of cigarettes for my friends. I don't smoke. 6 cartons of cigarettes out of that Save-A-Lot in one visit. Oh, so, again, I have skills that I don't want to use, that I don't want to have to do, but these motherfuckers are doing it, and that's just one. That's the shout out to Anarchy and Gray. That's the thug anarchists.
Yeah, one of my Dungeons and Dragons, boss fighter people. One of the people in our little group is got to be that little sneaky, stealthy. Well, in some cases he's a thief. And I'm not. Look, let's just. We want to preface this: don't hurt people and don't take their stuff. But there are some things, and when it comes to some of this stuff, like I was talking to a friend of mine. I won't say how I know him, but we were talking about this stuff, and he was talking about like the cards that are fit for the counter.
Yeah.
That if they're gonna make us outlaws, sometimes you gotta behave like an outlaw, and if kids can do IDs to get into bars, and it's just kind of like one of those, McLovin is like a celebrated character, and people wear the shirt and all that kind of stuff. Well, all right, yeah, McLovin might be on my fit to counter card.
Right.
Notice I switched some stuff, but anyway, I want to say this though. One of the things that you reminded me of when you were talking about like skills that you have, and hopefully you have some other skills that aren't just thievery.
I do.
But all right. So, dude, I can turn a wrench. I can fix a pump. I can fix a motor. Sure. I can. I'm not a great like electrician or anything like that. But when it comes to like pipe fitting and those kinds of things, like I can do some shit. I've framed some stuff. I can do handyman type shit. My mother-in-law always marvels. She's like, "How do you know how to do all this stuff?" I'm like, I don't know. Like
I
my
learned
dad
it.
knows how to do a bunch of stuff. I learned it from him. I learned it from working, like the jobs that I've worked and everything.
Mhm.
I could fix computers. I can do shit like that. I'd probably need a little learning curve on some of that shit now because it's been a long time since I rebuilt a computer. But no, I can troubleshoot through a bunch of different things, and a lot of it is not like in this electronic stuff. A lot of it is like just like regular old, hands-on type, old school Amish type shit.
Mhm.
Um, I it makes me think of Galt's Gulch in Atlas Shrugged,
Yeah.
and it makes me think of like what Dagny Taggart told um, Francisca d'Anconia, and what she told Hank Reardon, and what she told John Galt. Ultimately, is like I would like work on the engines for you if it just meant like getting out of this fuckery of this place.
Yeah.
In a lot of ways, like I want to go. I kind of want to go back and read Atlas Shrugged again, or at least listen to it. I have the audiobook, just to kind of go through and kind of like re-envision some of that stuff in the current context, because a lot of what we are seeing is actually
Mhm.
it's not all that different. People exiting the system, just saying, you know what, I'm out.
For sure.
And then we go and we build our own little conclave somewhere, where we all work together with the skills that we bring to that, and don't be afraid. Like there's nothing wrong with some of the most simple, mundane plumbing and shit like that like people like turn their nose up at.
Yeah.
Yeah, good luck fucking living without plumbing.
Right.
Like we were talking about, like we live the way we live better than kings because, and that's one of the things that Tim Pool and Dave Smith and Michael Heisen were talking about last night.
Caught
That was
that.
a great podcast, by the
For
way.
sure.
But they're talking about, and this was for the people watching this. This was last week. But anyway, is like back then you had to go get the block of ice for the king, and it had sawdust and like who knows what kind of other crap on it, hay and shit or whatever. You went and got the ice block, you brought it in, and you like rubbed the cream on it, and you like mixed it together with the salt, and you had to sit there and wait for some bland ass shit ice cream. And now you have like you have fucking Rocky Road and
Yeah, cheesecake flavored.
bunny tracks and all this shit with like little Reese's peanut butter cups in it and everything.
Right.
Fudge ribbon inside, all this shit. Fuck, I'm getting hungry. But no, like we take a lot of shit for granted, and don't take for granted the skills that you have for just like fucking patching a wall or building a wall.
Right.
I don't mean a Trump wall, a border wall, but like like making a house. Like
Sure.
this shit's
Yeah.
gonna come in handy.
Right. I worked
Farming,
for
planting
sure.
a garden's gonna come in handy.
For sure. I worked for 10 years building office furniture. That's what I did for 10 years. And I'll tell you what, I just redid my stairs because I'm, like I said, about to buy a house, and I'm actually buying the house that I live in. I've been renting for about 4 years, but anyhow, I'm about to buy my house, and I know that I'm going to need, because they're going to do inspections and all that shit, I'm going to need railing. So I had to like put a bunch of trim in. I had to do a bunch of work. And you know how many boards I had to cut before I was back to about knowing what I needed to do? One. I cut one board that wasn't great. It wasn't perfect. And the next one, like a glove, just fit perfect. And so that skill that I had, you give me a piece of wood, I can build damn near anything. And that skill is still there. And the thing is, no, I'm an old man. I'm not going to be out fucking, if you're counting on my ass out on the road fighting, you made a bad decision because that's not my skill set. That's not what I'm good at. I'm 46 years old. I've got arthritis. That's not going to fucking work. But I'll tell you what, I'm really good at thinking. I'm really good at planning. I've got risk down to a goddamn science. I can make that motherfucker. I can win every goddamn time. I have not lost at risk in forever. so,
Yeah.
so at the end of the day, they are making a mistake. They're going too far. The one of the reasons that they've gotten as far as they have is that they have employed incrementalism. They have taken little bits and little pieces, and
They made people think they were getting freedom,
right,
and then they took it right back away.
correct. And
The perfect example is these people who got the shot and thought, like, what the fuck? I have to wear a mask again? Wait, now I can't do this again? Now I can't do this again? Like, yeah, no, bro. Like, oops.
Yeah.
They were fucking okie doking you. And that's why, like, I said no from the beginning. You and I, the first time I ever came on your show last April, we talked about this stuff, and you're like, I'm not taking that shit. No, hell no. The whole show was based on that RFK Jr. interview, or article or whatever, where he was talking about all the fuckery that was going on in like Asia, India, and all this stuff. Like, it was like, nah, y'all keep that shit away from me.
Right.
Because y'all fucking these people over in Africa and Asia and everywhere. So
I'll tell you what, if people go back to like my January, this is before Chad came on. If and for that matter, Nico, neither one of them were on here. If you go back to my January and February, dude, I had a crystal goddamn ball. I am so proud of myself. If you go back to those episodes, every goddamn bit, everything that I said came true. Every fucking thing. And I kept saying, because, but at the same time, remember that sucks, because that was when I was saying they're going to try to do lockdowns. They're going to do all this shit. They're going to take away freedoms. They're going to use it, all that. And that sucks. But look at what we're saying now. What we're saying now is we are going to organize. We are going to get together. We are going to resist this. This is going to fail. We are going to win. The good guys win. At the end of the day, that's my tagline. That's what I want to put out to the world. The good guys win. And we are the good guys. And I'm not talking about just us.
Yeah, let me tell you how the good guys win. All right. So I'm on my way to Hotep Nation weekend, and I'm going to be doing everything I can to connect, network with people. We're going to have some quiet conversations that are not for public consumption too. Because you can't give up all the game, online for everybody to see your moves coming and all that kind of stuff. Same thing with the Solutionary Summit, Labor Day weekend. And but I do plan to get some interviews in both of those locations for both of those events. And
get people scheduled.
That's what I was gonna say. Whatever I can't do live, I'm gonna do I'm gonna schedule for later. But what I wanted to say is that's really important. Okay, so we're all getting together in person, and we're going to meet, and we're going to talk, and we're going to have some of these conversations, and we're going to start to say, oh, okay, so-and-so can do this, so-and-so can do this. All right, let's take advantage of all that stuff,
and build,
because we're going to need each other, because some of us are going to lose our jobs. Some of us are going to have to find another way to earn a living to be able to keep doing what we're trying to do.
Right.
We're going to need each other. We're going to possibly have to collaborate together to make something that we didn't even think 3 years ago was a possibility that we're going to have to make now. That's one part of it, is those kinds of things, and connecting with people online too. As much as they have separated us and isolated us on a local level in a lot of ways, they have made it to where we are able to connect with each other online more than we ever have been before. And so we're connecting with people all over the world and sharing ideas. Keep doing that. Keep meeting with people like that. But the final thing, this is the main reason why I want to say, like, why we're going to win and how we're going to win, and that must be done. You have got to engage with your local community. Start with, if they're still alive, talk to your parents, talk to your grandparents, talk to your elders, anyone who is close to you, who may be able to impart some wisdom, who may be able to teach you a skill, who may be able to offer you somewhere to go. I've got family in East Texas where, if it comes down to it, we might be like linking up, and I'm gonna just like Dagny Taggart. I'm gonna be like, look, we'll take care of the garden, and if you need me to change horseshoes, or you need me to do that, I'll do whatever kind of grunt work I need to do to earn my keep. We're gonna have almost like a little communist commune or whatever over there, but but it's going to be voluntary, and I'm going to gladly be willing to connect with nature, connect with the earth, and connect with the things that help sustain us, if it means not connecting with this fuckery and this bullshit that's coming out of these major cities. So that, but then also outside of just your family and your local unit and your friends and family who you already have and know in your circle, definitely cultivate those relationships and do whatever you can to help each other out, because we're going to need each other. Every one of us who is on the strong side, who is on the winning side, who's on the good guy's side, needs to come together as much as we can. But also go to your local farmers markets, connect with some people in some of these local groups, start sharing information. I know that a lot of this stuff is monitored, but to the extent that you can, use code language and work with some of these groups to try to establish something on the local level, so that you're not, I mean, it's great to go to Hotep Nation Weekend. It's great to go to the Solutionary Summit. But the reality of the matter is, I love Sonny. Sonny's in Virginia. You know, Sonny can't help me in Baton Rouge.
Right.
I can't help her in Virginia. Not directly all the time. We can help each other some, but we need to work on cultivating at our local level, because the stronger our local community is, the more we can help the people in Virginia or Texas or Idaho or Indiana or Illinois, where Nico is. So that's the way we win, is we build our little fellowships of the ring, and then we build the bigger ones. Because if you look, all of those different things, you had your dwarfs, you had your elves, you had your hobbits, you had your humans, you had your wizards. Yeah, yes. You're fucking the perfect embodiment of Gimli. I mean, it's like, I want your, where's your axe? Where's your axe?
I've got it on the wall.
I will not try to toss you, though. I'm not that strong. But so seriously, like, we win this, but we have to do the winning. We have to do the winning up here, in here, and with these. You got to start doing the work, and don't lose hope. Don't let this shit discourage you. Fight back as much as you can, and reach out to people who can help you in that fight, so you don't have to try to do it alone, because loneliness is the biggest weapon they have used against us in this whole 18 months. Fear and loneliness. And we've got to combat that with love, hope, and connection.
For sure. And so just to drive your point home, we probably ought to wrap this up. We're way past what we had planned. But at the end of the day, we're not the only ones preaching this. Just watched the thing on James Corbett's channel, his backup channel, because the other channel got taken down. But just watched a very similar sentiments probably 3 days ago. That we're not alone. We're not the only ones preaching this. He was talking about going out and contacting people in your local community, doing things just like Chad just talked about. And there's also resources for finding beyond because I think what Chad's talking about is more important than this, actually connecting to people in your community that you already kind of know and just building that relationship. But go to
finding out their extra outer circles too, so that you can start to connect with more people that think like you.
For sure. But there is a resource. Derek Brose is doing a thing called Freedom Cells, and connect with that. Find anarchists. One thing I do want to put in this is at the end of the day, you have to remember we are fighting a battle, and there will be spies. You've got to be ready for COINTELPRO. You've got to be ready. If somebody in your group is calling for all-out aggressive violence, you need to get them the fuck out of your group, because they're a Fed. And so be prepared for that. Be thinking.
Look at what happened in January. It's a perfect example.
Sure.
All the people who have actually been found out to be like conspiring and doing that kind of shit were Feds.
Yep. So at the end of the day, what we're talking about is that this is not a mountain we can't climb. It is a mountain, and it sucks, and it's hard, but it's not one we can't climb. Even with my hobbling ass, I'll get up that mountain. It may take me a little longer than this person or that person, but I'll get up that mountain. So just keep moving. Every little step you take, every connection you make, make it, do it, and never lose hope. If you need to, reach out. Aquarian Anarchy Store at gmail.com. You can also get me at Marcus at thefreedomline.com. Reach out. We will help you at the end of the day. If you look in the show notes, if you want to converse with me and you're afraid of doing it online, my P.O. box is listed below. Mm-hmm. Go contact. It's not just for sending us money. Send us money. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, send us money. Yeah, we $5 Patreon.
Right, for sure. For sure. All about it. But if you just need encouragement, write me. I am right there. I would love to help people like that. I would love to because at the end of the day, this is my service. This is what I do for God. This is how I help. This is, God has directed me and I don't care if you don't believe in God. I don't care. I don't, whatever it is. This is what I think God has me in place for, because I have compassion and I want to help. So he is making me a tool by making me available for people who might be feeling bad, who might be having troubles. I will give you advice. It may be bad advice. I'm not perfect. If you think I'm some kind of goddamn hero, you haven't paid much
right.
attention. I'm doing this because I have to. I want to sit in my temple and bang on drums to crazy African gods. That's what I want to do. That's what I want to sit and smoke a bunch of weed and talk about philosophy. That's what I want to do. I have kids. I want them to be able to live free, and they trump what I want to do.
Word.
So get out there
and reach out to me too. Reach out to me too. You can DM me on Twitter. My shit's in the description as well. And really, if you want a really nice place to go for somewhat of a support group of people who watch the show, who get down the way we get down, join the Anarch chat, join the Telegram, go to the Patreon, become a $5 patron, and you are automatically brought into the Anarch chat, and or you're invited to it anyway. You have to accept the invitation and come in yourself. Sure. We're trying to be as godlike as possible. We don't force you into the Anarch chat. We just invite you, but you have to accept.
Correct.
And then come in. But no, it's a great group of guys in there, and we got Tim, Daryl, me, you, Nico, Halima's in there, Michael, and I think Brody and maybe Saul. So we've got a group of people who are in there, who are some more active than others, but it's a great place to come.
Daryl.
And yeah, it's a great place to come in, and there's some really good information shared. But we just have some really good conversations, and we give each other hope. We show each other the bullshit that's coming or the bullshit that's already here, and we talk about that. But then it always goes back to and centers around hope and solutions and finding a way to build and support each other as we make our way out of it. So that's the thing that we want to emphasize, and I hope that's what everybody's gotten from this. This is the show of great hope. We're realistic. We're not being Pollyanna, but we're also not being so hopeless and downtrodden that we're just waiting for the fucking oppression to come. No, we see the oppression coming, and we are steeling ourselves to resist it, and we are confident in our victory.
Amen. Couldn't be said better. I think it's about time to put that quote up. Do you want to read it, brother?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right, so I'll put it up.
Murray Rothbard says, if the bulk of the public were really convinced of the illegitimacy of the state, if it were convinced that the state is nothing more nor less than a bandit gang writ large, then the state would soon collapse to take on no more status or breadth of existence than another mafia gang.
Amen.
I don't know how
And
else to say it.
yeah, and that's it. So if you haven't already, hit that like button, hit that share button, which I know doesn't do a whole lot, but hit that share button, and then go to the Patreon, become a $5 member.
Oh,
We did it at the same
we
time.
did the same time.
So go do that, and if nothing else, just build community. So
And go watch our videos. Go watch the video that the interview that we did with my brother a couple of
Vin
weeks ago,
Armani.
and go watch the one with Vin Armani. Those are
I
the
think Carrie's
two.
was good too.
Yeah, Carrie's was good too. These last three are like some of the most important for that hope, for finding a way to trust that we're going to win this, but also to arm ourselves with the tools to do that, to step into your heroic role and not be afraid of it and not be ashamed, to recognize where you're coming from and that it's still part of the hero's journey, that where you are, if you're not happy with where you are is not where you have to stay. Step into your role as a hero, because we're going to win this shit.
Amen. And everybody, stay free.